Hey guys, it's me again, and I am all alone in this Curtis isolation room. It's really just a study room, but this is kind of the room we use, me and my friends, if we ever need to study or if we ever need a good cry and we talk to our parents about something. We come here because no one will bother you in here. So I decided to make my FAQ video in here. So I have a list of some questions that I had definitely when I was coming into Colgate, and that I think are some pretty common questions about Colgate overall that you can't really find on the website. So the biggest one for me was, don't Colgate students feel isolated? So this is a really rural campus and we're pretty far from things, and I thought I would want an urban campus so there's always something going on, I could always be at a concert, and I was really nervous about feeling stranded and isolated in the middle of Chenango Valley in central New York. But the truth is, I don't feel isolated at all. Like, I have found with my time at Colgate, we have a supermarket, we have a pharmacy, we have different places to eat, and honestly, I stay on the hill a lot of the times, and this is where all my friends are, and a couple of my friends have cars, so if we ever want to go off campus, we can just hop in one of their cars and go. So it's really not too bad when it comes to the isolation, unlike what I was afraid of. Another big question people have is, isn't everyone at Colgate white and rich? There is a stereotype that all Colgate students are very rich and very white, and I'm going to be pretty honest, there is some truth in that stereotype, but there's also a very strong sense of diversity on campus, and we do have a lot of representation from other groups, and we have a big support system for those other groups. We have a cultural center, we also have a Jewish center, and we have all sorts of just different communities on campus, different clubs, different ways to get connected and ways to promote diversity. So really, it's, even if the demographics do say it's mostly white and rich, the experience on campus is very different than what the demographics might tell you. Another thing, a really kind of weird question I would get is Colgate an Ivy League school? I got that question a lot, and no, first of all, Colgate's not an Ivy League school, because Ivy League is like kind of like a conference that those typical Ivy League schools are in, like Harvard, Yale, Columbia. And while I would argue Colgate competes with them when it comes to prestige, we aren't officially in that category, and our acceptance rate is a lot higher, but a lot of that is due to much less people apply because it's not quite as well known. So technically, no, we're not an Ivy League, but I would argue that we do have the same prestige as an Ivy League school. Another big question is, do you get to pick your roommates? Freshman year, you do not get to pick your roommates. The years after that, yes, you can. So it's randomly assigned your freshman year, and I lucked out getting Haley. She's super nice. I love her so much. And I've heard a variation of stories about roommates, so it really depends. And another big question is class size. Typical class size is about 18. You won't have any classes with more than 30 people in it mostly, unless if you're in a big intro class, but it's nothing like lecture halls in big universities. And then the other big question I think students have are, what sort of resources are there on campus for support? And we have a really strong counseling center that always has someone available, has an emergency line, and all sorts of resources to help students out with anything. We also have a Haven Center, which is actually located in the bottom of Curtis, and that is to support sexual assault victims. And we have a lot of support system there. And we also have Office of the Chaplain, so we have that big chapel, the big pretty chapel on campus, but there's a whole office behind that. There's a whole group of religious leaders from all sorts of religions and all sorts of different denominations to support students spiritually. And we also, this isn't related to well-being, but we do have a really strong career services program and career services office, and they're super willing to help. They have so many connections. The Colgate alumni are so willing to get us out in the world. So that's another really cool resource that we have on campus. So overall, if you have many other FAQs, there are a lot of blog posts and everything, and that you could probably find it there, or you can find it on the website. So I hope this was helpful to you, and I will see you guys later, hopefully in a more exciting spot than the isolation room in Curtis. But